So I want to do a little road trip review, and people have asked me, what's the point of the road trip? What are your goals? And I tell them, I say I'm trying to build about 3 groups or group projects, maybe 4. The first being an artist collective. I want to make art for the channel, with the channel, promote art from the channel. I want to promote an artist collective, a group of people who are musically minded, visually minded, not just people who can create art, but people who can critique art, people who can inform art. And I'm trying to find those people, and I'm trying to discover their talents, because many people are humble, they don't know their talents, and they don't know that if they were in a collective, in a group, that they would actually be able to bring out those talents in a way that otherwise on their own they couldn't do. I think we conceive of art as this individualistic phenomenon, but I think it's much more collective and collaborative than people realize. So I want to develop an artist collective. And I also want to have a programmer collective. I believe programming is the future. It is the future of engineering. It is the future of the skill-based job market, or the artist-based. Well, let me back up here. There are basically 3 types of jobs. There are investment jobs, where you're simply investing, you're moving money around, you're betting, you're engaged in a form of sophisticated betting, speculation, and that's a job, that can be investing in the stock market, investing in crypto, investing in real estate, buying and selling, salesman. This is kind of the merchant class, right? And then there is management. Management is a little more of the priest class, although managers can be of the warrior class, but management is where you're taking a group of people, you're harmonizing them, you're getting them together, you're giving them goals, you're being their therapist. Okay, this is management, and management takes a different skill set from investment. Then there's like artistry, and artistry and skilled labor, where you're just directly making something, you're doing something. And from my perspective, the economic driver of the future in terms of artistry and skill-based labor, putting aside investment, putting aside management, it's going to be in programming. So I want to encourage people to learn programming. I'm not really a programmer myself, but I want to encourage people to learn it, and I want to help people gain job opportunities and skills, and interview skills, which I think are very important. So I think by doing that, by bringing people together, it will help encourage people, it will help inspire people, and it will help foster those skills that I think are going to be important for the future. We need coders, we need programmers, we need people who can do that. Now maybe you don't make that your career, you don't do it for your entire life, but I think it's going to be a little part of everyone's lives, in the same way we're all going to have to learn a little Spanish, we're all going to have to learn a little Python, and more. And then the third one that I want to make, other than the artist group and other than the programmer group, is a book editor group. And I've had one person out of like 10 people or 20 people who I was like, I need help with this book. It's a series of essays, I need help with it. And a lot of people want to read it, but not a lot of people actually want to edit it. And that's sad to me. It's sad to me that people want to take, but they don't want to give. And I include myself in that category. I'm disappointed in myself. I wish I could just write the book like a normal author without any outside help, and then once you're done with the first draft, then you submit it to an editor. But while I'm on this road trip, what I'm discovering is, even though I'm driving 40 hours a week, and I'm working, and I'm meeting people, and I'm doing all these things, there's always time. You always have about 30 minutes a day that you might think you don't have, but if you got off Twitter and you stopped playing chess and you stopped doing these kind of habitual, low importance habits, you could make time. You could make time to stop and meet me at a coffee shop, and I could make time to work on my series of essays. And this is important because I do videos, and videos are kind of in one ear, out the other. And when you make videos, It's a different format. It accesses memory in a different way, both actively and passively. So I want to invest in my writing. I want to turn all my videos into transcripts, and I want to edit them, and I want to reformulate them as coherent essays, and I want to, organize the subject matter such that it is logical, it's sequential, and so on. And so really, I don't just need intellectual help. I think I'm smart enough to do all of this on my own, but I'm not motivated enough to do it on my own, and I'm socially motivated. So if I had some editor saying, you made a spelling mistake on this page, and this is wrong, and have you considered that? Here's a grammar error, that I would look at that and I would say, okay, now I have a social obligation. This guy's put in the work. I have a social obligation to follow up and to work on this. And what ends up happening is, to me, the first 30 seconds, or maybe the first 1 second is the hardest. Opening up the laptop, opening Google Drive, opening it up, that, whatever 30 seconds or 5 minutes that takes, that's the hardest part. Once I actually start working on it, it's easy. And then I can work on it forever long I have, an hour or whatever. So I need help with that. And so that's maybe more of a selfish thing, but I'm trying to build a editors group. People who don't just want to read passively, but they want to read actively. They want to read critically, rather than just be a lurker. Be a participant, not a passenger. So I'm looking for these people. And fourthly, and maybe more skeptically, I'm looking to form an investors group, because I believe that investment in crypto and stocks has become a hugely important part of our society, our youth culture. You look at inflation and it's crazy. It's almost insane not to invest in something. Real estate, stocks, crypto, whatever. And so I'm trying to form that group to help give people advice and feedback, the difference between day trading and long-term investment. I want people to understand that. I want people to start thinking about that. And I want people to enter the market in a safe way. I don't want people to lose all their money. I don't want people to experiment in the market. I want people to learn from others' mistakes, and I want people to go in knowingly and knowledgeably. So that is the fourth group. Now, there could be more groups. There could be like an exercise group or whatever. But those are the four main groups, and I'm open to expanding that. But eventually those would turn into, 4 businesses, 4 lines of income. Now, you don't make a ton of money from art, but art is a money generator. Creating thumbnails for the channel, creating infographics. This actually does drive business. Not that I'm making money from the channel, but that if people are putting in work, I do feel obligated to pay them. And if I feel obligated to pay them, I do at some point feel obligated to monetize. If we keep going in this direction, I think it makes sense. And as far as programming, there's an obvious monetary output from there, or network security. And if we look at the stocks, obviously, so these are ways of making money. They're ways of forming community. They're ways of, feeling like we're actually working towards something rather than just having a philosophical or political theorist discussion. I don't like political theory. Now, I like structural theory. I like understanding, structural power theory and whatever, but political theory, I like understanding what's going on politically. But to me, political theory is less about understanding what's going on and more about, it's more prescriptive. I don't like prescriptive political theory. I like descriptive. I like understanding what's going on and acting accordingly. I don't like saying, well, I'd like this type of constitution, or I want this form of government, or I think that we should take over the world and reformulate things in this way and that way. I don't like that. I think that's an obstacle to real change, to real community formation. So I don't like that. I want people to do real practical things. So I want to do a little review here of the road trip thus far. The people I've met, I'm kind of being vague and non-specific because I don't think the details are always necessary. But I just do want to reflect on the people I've met to provide a contrast to what I've just said of, oh, this is a business-minded trip and we're trying to find people with skills. Because a lot of people feel they have no skills, and I think they're wrong. And I think that if you watch my channel, you do have skills, you do have value. And it's about discovering that value and teaching people you do have value. And if you believe that you don't, then you're actually depriving people of your value and you're committing a sin. Because you're depriving the world of your contribution, and that's selfish. You're doing that out of fear and a false humility. So I've gone around trying to discover what are people's values, even if they don't recognize them themselves. And I want to just describe these, and maybe you might pick up on a few of these, whether you participated, whether you didn't. But I want to talk in no particular order about some of the people who started this road trip. And the guy who started this road trip, it wasn't me. You know, the guy who started this road trip, he's a natural born leader. He's strong. He's sociable. Anytime I introduce him to someone, they always like him. He's an easy guy to get along with. And he has good intentions. He's very conscientious. He's very mindful of trying to do the right thing. And he's working toward his goals. He's set goals for himself, and he's a hard worker. He's tenacious. Me, if something's difficult, I give up. You know, if something's difficult and I'm not passionate about it, if I'm passionate about it, I can power through. But if I'm like, I'm not interested in this, I'm not going to power through it. He can say, even if I don't want to do this, even if I'm not passionate about it, I'm still going to power through it, because I know on the other side that there's a benefit, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice. And so he's a self-sacrificing guy. He's working on his goals. He's working on his confidence. He's working on his emotional vulnerability. And he's a guy that I want to form a closer relationship with. I consider him a friend, but I want to spend more time with him. I want to build things with him. I believe he is a community builder. I think he is a great seed for the future. I think he has a lot of potential. I could see him running his own business, his own company, and being a community leader. And so I want to build him up, and I want to be built up by him, because ultimately this road trip is him. He started it. He encouraged me, and without him, I don't think I would have ever left the house. The second guy I want to talk about is also, in many ways, started the road trip not from a position of, you know, there's different roles. There's kind of Moses and Aaron, and, you know, Aaron is the sort of talker, Moses is the leader. And so I'm not sure who's the talker and who's the leader in this situation, but there's kind of like the subjective role and the objective role. There's the priest, and then there is the body of Christ, you know. There's the shaman, and there's the sacred object. And so in this case, I think he served not as the messenger, as the mercurial messenger, but I think he served as, in many ways, you know, maybe this is blasphemous to say Christ on the cross, but, you know, he served as that figurehead, that figure, that shiny, the balduric figure, that he is undergoing a transformation. He's undergoing a baptism, because he wants to transform his life. He wants to really work on his religion. And while I disagree with his dogma, I think I admire his commitment to religion and taking that seriously. I think that's something we all need to take seriously. It's something that I've neglected to commit to for a number of years here. And so I appreciate his commitment. I appreciate the fact that when he's confident, he's a very convincing guy. He has that leadership ability, not to tell people what to do in a management style sense, although I think he can do that as well. But he has a real strength in going up to people and saying, you know, what do you think about making this change in your life? You know, what do you think about taking religion more seriously? And he's very inspirational to people, and people want to follow him. And he does it in a very selfless way. He's not trying to be a leader to gain clout or self-esteem or arrogance or anything like that to gain power. No, he wants to lead people to a better life. I really appreciate that. This is a guy who's working on his health. He's already a handsome guy. He's a charming guy. He's extremely sociable. He was one of the most sociable, likable people I met, and I know that I already talked about a sociable, likable person, but he's just extreme with it, extremely easy to get along, and he's such a funny guy. He's such a funny personality, and I value that sense of humor. And I'm always, after I see him, for weeks afterward, I'm quoting him and I'm thinking about things that he would say, and it brings a joy to my life to spend time around him. And I see him improving every day, and I just want to encourage him to keep moving forward and to keep, bringing that harmony to his life, and to exercise that self-care, and to really see his value and worth. He is worth it. He is worth the struggle, and I know that when he comes out on the other side, as he is reaching different benchmarks and milestones in his personal transformation, I think it's going to be amazing. It's really going to unlock things in his life. I think it's going to bring him new confidence. So I'm looking forward to the next time I'm meeting him, meeting, a changed man, a different man, someone who is continuing that process. So in no particular order, the next guy I want to talk about is a strong guy. He's a masculine guy, and he's way more smart than I am. He is a leader, and he's brought a lot of people together. And he's made a 180 in his life. He's gone from nihilism and apathy and selfishness to really reevaluating what he wants, what are his deepest values, and he pursues the truth. And not a lot of people really do that so thoroughly. And so he is not afraid of conflict. He puts the truth first. And as a non-confrontational guy myself, I recognize the value of that. Even though I'm afraid of conflict, we need people who are willing to hash it out. Because if you don't hash it out and you just procrastinate and leave it to the side and hope that the problem doesn't come up later, it will come up later. And so we need people like that. And I love him. I love his people, and I want him to succeed. And I'm praying for his success. And even though we have disagreements, as I have disagreements with everybody, I want to see his visions and his hopes, and I want to see that grow, and I want to see it flower. And I just think he has a lot of beauty going on, and he has a lot of potential, and I want to help him in any way I can. The next guy I want to talk about is one of the chillest dudes I've ever met. And I met a lot of chill dudes, but this guy really takes the cake. This guy is someone where if a volcano was erupting, he would say, "Where's my phone? We should probably check out the GPS and just see what the fastest way to get out of here is, and then maybe afterwards you want to grab lunch somewhere." This would be his reaction. He is so chill, and you might think he's a stoner, and maybe at one point he was, but he's not anymore. Now he's a working man. He's a hard worker, and I value that. I appreciate the way he's trying to build up his future. And he's working these long hours, and he has really no time for himself, and he's dedicated and he's disciplined. And so that's a lot of people are very chill, are lazy. He's extremely chill, but he's not lazy. And I value that. And I would love to spend more time with this person. This is a person who, when you put him under stress, he handles it very well. Other people, they get angry, they get reclusive, they get sad. A lot of people can't handle stress emotionally. They just kind of shut down, or they blow up and they can't stay the course. This is a guy who can stay the course. This is a guy who's dependable. This is a guy who's easy to get along with. One of the easiest guys to get along with I've ever met. And I really like him, and I think he's a really good guy, and I hope that in the future, as much as I value his discipline and his busyness, I hope that we do get a chance to meet again and spend time together. I've just realized how shaky the camera has been, and I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate how shaky this has been. I don't know how to solve this other than maybe if I put a weight on top of it. Okay. Well, I apologize. I'm not going to redo the video. And I'm also going to apologize for the fact that the steering wheel is in the way. But you're just going to have to deal with that, right? So anyway, the next person I want to talk about is a very experienced guy, and he's suffered through a lot of challenges that I can't even imagine. And it really puts my own challenges in perspective. And this guy has seen it all, he's done it all, and he's very disciplined. He is someone who, I'm someone who always needs peer pressure, social pressure, and help and encouragement from other people in order to do work. That's what I need. And that's, you know, that's a limitation that I have. This guy is like a monk. He can be productive without any help or any encouragement. He doesn't care what other people think. And he doesn't care how other people judge him or his work. He has a great work ethic. He's very smart. He's very creative. He's introduced to me a lot of ideas that I take from and inspiration from. And I'd say that most of my thinking, not all of it, but a lot of my thinking comes from this guy. I would say from several people I've mentioned already, I forgot to credit them of, these are people where I get my ideas from. I am not an original thinker. I just try to take ideas and I try to represent them, repackage them to a new audience, because I know I can reach people that these other guys might not be able to reach. I have a different style, and so different people are willing to listen to me. I have a different audience. But I admire this guy for his dedication. I admire this guy for his artistry, his pursuit of truth. And I think he's very open, he's very honest, and there's a lot that I could learn from him. The next guy that I want to talk about here is also a very open, honest person. He's an experimental person. And he's someone who's very thoughtful. And he's someone who does not fall into dogma easily. He's someone who is creative. He's someone who's artistic. He's musical. He's a handsome guy. And he's got a lot of potential. And when I first met him, I wanted to encourage him, and maybe I didn't do that in the right way. That's what my intention on this trip has been, to encourage people, and I don't think I've always done that. I think I've needed to learn the difference between, you know, seeing encouragement as a selfish process versus a selfless process. Letting go of my ego and, you know, not trying to push people, but really trying to add people, to add value, and to provide hope, to give rather than to take. You know, rather than say, don't do this, don't do that, say, hey, you know, I want to encourage you. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? A more gentle and merciful approach, I think, is sometimes the best approach. Maybe not always, but sometimes. And even though I think I came off as rude in many senses, I think he really was thoughtful enough that he could see past my mistakes, and he was able to see my intentions, or my best intentions, and he was able to create changes in his life in a short time that I think are dramatic. And I'd like to see this person again, and I'd like to see this person grow, and I consider this person a friend. And I think they provide a different perspective from other people, a much needed perspective. And as much as we have disagreements and arguments and whatnot, I value this person, and I look forward to meeting them again. Even though they've added a lot of new responsibilities to their life, you know, I think we'll be able to make that work. And so, to me, the value that I get from the road trip is providing value to people. And if I help this person at all to develop themselves and to move on to the next step in their journey, then, you know, I said, if I can do that for one person, the trip is a success. And so that was a huge success for me. Even though it was a bungled success, I think still it was, you know, we didn't get there in a straight line. It was a rocky road, but I think we made progress. And I thank him for the opportunity to invite me into his home, to meet his parents. His mom watches my YouTube. She likes my YouTube videos. Okay. Very cool. So I think that's awesome. The next guy I want to mention on this trip. This guy, one of the greatest men, and, you know, you compare people, oh, who's better, who's worse. But he is one of the greatest men in terms of his style of leadership. When he's confident, he is a manager. He's not just someone who, you know, there's different styles of leadership. Like I said, there's leadership where you teach people skills. There's leadership where you invite people to consider new things. There's leadership where there's different styles of leadership. This guy's style of leadership, he has this management style of leadership where he's very capable. When he's confident, when he's in the zone, he can basically say, look, here's the way you should have your life, and you got, you know, implicitly say, follow me, and people are willing to follow him. When he goes into that leadership mode, people look at him and they're like, sir, yes, sir. Like, I'm going to listen to what you say. And he's a guy who tolerates me and through all my eccentricities and some annoying things that I do, my feminine moments, you might say, you know, when I complain and I nag or whatever. But he's a masculine guy. He's a leader. He's extremely smart. He's extremely smart, and let's be honest, he's one of the most handsome guys we've met. There's a lot of handsome guys on this trip. Don't read into that more. But just, I think that's cool. I think it's cool when people have physical beauty. I think that's a skill. I think that's valuable. I don't think that's just a superficial thing, and I think it's reflective. I believe in the connection between mind, body, and soul. Mind, soul, and spirit. And I think that he has that. And that's great. That's a blessing. That's awesome. And I've seen in a short period of time how much he's changed, how much he's learned, how much he's grown, and the thirst and a desire that he has for that. And I'm just really impressed. And as much as, you know, I know that when he learns to turn his confidence on, he's going to be unstoppable. No one's going to be able to stop this guy. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be a business leader. He's going to be a leader of men. People would follow this guy into battle if he would work on just understanding where his confidence is and really leaning into that. And so I consider this guy one of my closest friends, and you know, I know that every time I visit him that I see a brighter glow from it, a brighter light, that he is shining even more brightly. And I look forward to the next time we meet and learning about the new things he's adding to his life, improving his health, and you know, getting out there, making connections with people, getting out of the house. I look forward to seeing more of that. So the next guy I met on this journey, well, who do I choose first? This guy is so chill. He's so easy to get along with. He's so genuine, and he's so, you know, I want to say honest, but he's got a particular honesty. He's not one of those people who tells you, you know, all the intimate details of his life. He's not a voyeur, or he's not an exhibitionist, I should say. And I find that valuable, because a lot of honest people, sometimes they put things out there like sometimes honest people are very confrontational. They don't know, and confrontationalism, it's a skill, but at the same time there can be too much of it. Sometimes confrontational people, honest people, don't know when to shut up. Sometimes they don't know when, like, it's worth having a fight and when it's worth not having a fight. This guy is so conscientious, he's so aware, and he's so considerate of others, and he always wants to speak and act in a way that's to the benefit of other people, and he's really easy to get along with. I consider him a great friend, and he was also a big part of making the total road trip. I mean, again, I mentioned two people who helped start the road trip, but this was a guy who really helped not finish the road trip, but made it be as big and expansive, and because before that I was like, well, I'll just kind of like visit people in this region, and I don't know about going everywhere, and because of him I was like, no, I'm gonna visit every single person, anyone who wants to meet me, I'm gonna meet that person. So he really inspired me in that way, and he's a connector, he's a socializer, he's someone who has brought many other people into my life, and I'm really thankful for this guy. The next guy is one of the person, you know, proof in the pudding. Never would have met this guy, but it turns out he's a great guy. He's got the, well, he has a very striking beauty to him. We're talking about all these beautiful men today. I'm just being honest, and you know, we're not naming names here, so don't feel ashamed, don't feel embarrassed. We're all beautiful people here, but some people are more beautiful than others, and he is a real, you can see it in his eyes. He's got those eyes, and I think that it is a real great insight to his personality. He's honest, and he's so funny. I talked about funny people, but this guy has such a different sense of humor. He has called me up at 3 in the morning when I have insomnia, and we have just laughed, some of the hardest laughs I've laughed on this trip. Such an amazing sense of humor, such a genuine guy, such a nice guy. You know, I see him, he has a very quiet form of leadership, but I think he is a leader. And I think that sometimes he does shortchange himself, but he still has a quiet form of confidence. You know, he's not boastful, he doesn't brag, he's not arrogant, but I think quietly he's like, yeah, you know what, we can do this. And in harsh situations, he doesn't complain. You know, there's a lot of people on this trip who are very tolerant. As I'm going through the thing, I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention that with the last person. But this, as like his friend, he's very tolerant, and he's very like, you know what, complaining is not going to get it done faster or easier, so let's just focus on the goal and power through it. And he's very smart, and you know, he's also so industrious, he's so busy, and he's always making connections, and he's always working toward his goals. And I think he's a model for a lot of people that I really look forward to his future. I really look forward to not just, you know, next year, but in the next decades of seeing what he can do. I think it's going to be amazing. The next guy I want to talk about on this trip is a very giving person. And he's so giving to the point where I think he has to reel it in. But you know what? That's a good flaw to have, because so many people are takers. This guy is a giver. And he is very genuine, and he is very, I think he is very conscientious, and he feels like he's worried that he's not going to represent himself accurately, and I want to inspire confidence in him. And I just think that he provided a great value to me. He provided a great change in my mindset, because he was able to be so genuine with me. He was able to be so honest and vulnerable with me that it really impacted me. It really changed the way that I thought about myself and the way that I thought about my issues. And because he was able to put himself out there like that, I gained a great value from that. And when we were around because I felt safe with this guy. You know, there's a lot of people where it's like you don't really know, you know, what's up with this guy? Is he testing me? You know, is he testing my masculinity, testing my intelligence? And you always feel like for certain people you just have to perform, you have to step into a role that maybe is slightly uncomfortable. Not that any of that's bad, but it presents a different opportunity when you feel safe. When you feel safe around someone, it allows you to access those vulnerable parts of yourself. It allows you to think about parts of yourself that you have distracted yourself from, you've put away, you've hidden because they're uncomfortable to deal with. But when someone's really vulnerable with you, and I think that is powerful, the ability to do that. It was so valuable to me, it was so useful to me, and it was really important to me that this is one of the most important people I've met on this road trip. And I think he's a very intelligent guy. He's so thoughtful, and he's very creative, and he has such great skills. He's an artist. He maybe he doesn't understand that, but he's an artist, and he creates beauty. And I want people to see his beauty. I want people to recognize it. And I think when people see it, everyone's going to be impressed with it. And I think he can only grow in that. I think he has a lot of potential in that. And I want to collaborate with him. I want to grow with him. I want to spend more time with him. And I look forward to hearing from him. I look forward to seeing his progress. I look forward to him trying different things and working on his own challenges, because I know that he is going to succeed. I just want to encourage him to be persistent. I want to encourage him to never give up, because this is the only life we have, that we don't have to be worried about, oh, well, what if it doesn't work out? No, don't worry about working out. Don't worry about the consequence of your action. Worry about the intention. If you have the right intention and you're committed to action, you know, you don't just have the right intention up here, but you actually take what's up here and you do something, you keep track of it, and you keep yourself accountable and responsible, and you make a plan, and you're conscious of it, and you can do great things. The next person I want to talk about is, you know, I said the most handsome guy in the trip and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? In some way that's true. Everyone has a different beauty to them. And the other guy has a sort of a powerful masculine, you know, handsomeness to him. And this guy, also powerful, also masculine, but has such a kindness to his eyes. He has such a kindness, such a welcoming. I just immediately trusted this guy. I said, this guy, he has so much experience, he has so much to share, and he so genuinely wants to help people. And a lot of people who want to help others, and myself included, have this kind of desperation of like, you know, for me, I'm on a road trip, I gotta find the next person, I gotta find people who I can help. I just want to help in any way. I'm like desperate. And he helps people, but what's great about him is he doesn't come from a place of desperation. He comes from this place of this very serious and methodical and well thought out, well planned. Okay, first I'm gonna do this. And when I do this, I'm gonna help people, and step by step, and over a number of years, he's really built up something that helps a lot of people, and he's a community leader. Not on the internet, but in real life, he is a community leader. He has a community of people who live in his proximity as his neighbors, and he is their leader, and people look up to him, people are inspired. And I was inspired by him, and I think he's just such a great guy, and I wish that, you know, circumstances were different where I could be a part of his community and I could be closer to him. But I think he's such a great resource, and I think in the coming years I really want to increase my collaboration with him, and I think he's going to be one of these great resources that where young people need help, they need training, they need internships. I think he could be a great resource for that and an inspiration to many people. The next guy I want to talk about this, he is a humble guy, he is a thoughtful guy, but he has a lot of skills and he has a lot of potential. And he's very open-minded, and he's looking to give. He's a giver. He's looking to give back in any way that he can, and he's looking to try different things and try to be that resourceful person that a lot of us want to be. A lot of us want to be someone who can contribute and give back, but a lot of us don't have the discipline to do it in that way. You know, a lot of us, myself included, like, I want to see the change. I want to go to people and I want to knock on the door, say hello. I want to get to know you. Let's be friends. Let's have a relationship. I want to learn your skills. I want to encourage you, because that to me is this very immediate fulfillment and satisfaction I get from that. But this guy, he's been powering through something that to someone like me would be very difficult. He's been powering through it for a number of years, and he's built something up that's very impressive. And I see, you know, only more growth coming his way, and I'm very excited. And when he says he wants to help me, that inspires me. That says, wow, I need to become worthy of this guy's help. This guy wants to help me. I want to become worthy of that. So he's an inspiration to me, and very friendly guy. I wish I had more time to spend with him, but hopefully, again, in the coming years, I'll have a much better opportunity. It's going to be a lot easier for me to meet with him and you know, get to know him and walk around in nature and things like that. We were very limited, but already I can see he's a guy that I want to continue to have a relationship with in the future. And him, as all these other people, I want them to message me, I want them to call me, especially as I'm doing these 40-hour-a-week drives, long driving. I want to hear from people. I want to encourage people on it. Hey, what's going on? What's up? Never hesitate to call or text or voice message or video message. The next guy I want to talk about, such a thoughtful guy, such a conscientious guy, such a helper, such a deep thinker, such a divine-oriented guy, such a God-oriented guy. And he's gone through such struggles because he's sensitive to the possibilities. He's not dogmatic. He's not like, well, I'll just, you know, pick something on the map and stick with it. And no, he really considers all the possibilities. He's always willing to consider another person's perspective, and he's so non-judgmental, but at the same time, he's not so... Some people are non-judgmental and they'll say, oh, whatever you're doing, that's fine. Like, oh, don't be so hard on yourself. He's someone who's like, I want to help you improve. I want to help you grow, and obviously that's difficult. And there's a critical process to that, but in that he checks his ego at the door, and he's not, you know, if you tell him something, he's not gonna say, oh, well, that's bad, and that's, wow, you have a problem. And no, he's just like, how can we work on this? Have you thought of it in this way? Tell me more. You know, he's just a very understanding guy. And there's some people on this trip who are sort of prophetic, and I think he has an almost prophetic ability to be at the right place at the right time, to say the right thing in the right way. I think he's very spiritually attuned, and he is, out of all the people I've met, he does embody that priestly spirit in the best sense of that word. And so his leadership, the spiritual leadership he can provide in guidance and help people, I think he could have you know, a really fantastic future ahead in terms of producing some really powerful transformations. And every time I meet him, I do feel really impacted by him, and he's one of the people who inspired me to be more reflective and to make videos like this, to be more conscious and conscientious and aware and thoughtful, because I think he's a model to me. He's an inspiration to me. The next person I want to talk about on this trip, two guys, and one of them, very thoughtful guy, and he has his own special type of discipline where when he sets his mind to learning something, most people would say like, oh yeah, I kind of want to learn about this or that, but it would take a long time. I'd have to read a lot of books. It would be difficult. And I'm that way. Like, I'd love to learn a bunch of languages. I'd love to become an expert in German. I'd love to, you know, become an expert in Dutch and Russian. I'd like to learn all these languages. But when he dedicates himself to learning something, it's not just a hobby. He doesn't just download the Duolingo and do a little bit of it, but he's taken on some huge challenges, and it's impressive. I'm really impressed with his body of knowledge, with his sincereness, with his desire to help others. You know, he is a very, in a ways, he's a very tranquil person. He's a person who brings calm. He's a person who brings peace. And that's one of the reasons I feel very safe around him, and I feel very encouraged by him in how open he is to good things. Like a lot of people, they just kind of have this armor, and it's kind of hard to get through. It's hard to get bad things through, which is great, you know, protect yourself from the bad things. But it's also kind of like when your mom gives you advice and you're just like, yeah, whatever, mom. You know, it's like, okay, but maybe she's got some good advice. And he's a guy who, he'll really genuinely listen. He's such a good listener. He's one of the best listeners. And he'll really listen, and he'll really consider it. He'll really consider another perspective. And that, to me, is powerful, because that gives you a great opportunity to change and grow when you're always willing to listen and to consider other perspectives. Very intelligent. His intentions are he's a very good-hearted person. He really wants to do good. He's so passionate about doing the right thing, and really wants to learn from his mistakes and move forward. And so he's a guy that I would want to live with this guy, you know. Not to say that I would be roommates with anybody on the trip, but this guy really, like, he just inspires me, and he gives me a peace. He really relieves my anxiety and makes me dedicated, and makes me want to like double down on my efforts. And he makes effort easier. He makes discipline easier, because I look at him, he's an inspiration to me. And I really want to spend more time with this guy. I really want to build things together with this guy. I just want to be in his presence, because he has just such a good, peaceful, and good-hearted, and a pure and divine presence. Very easy to get along with. The other guy I want to talk about, he is quirky, but that is such a great thing. You know, he provides such a unique perspective. He has his own very subtle sense of humor, and he's very positive, and he's an artist and very creative, and he's on the cutting edge, and he's willing to be self-critical, and I think that allows him to have a lot of opportunities for growth where other people wouldn't. And he's very much about, he has a great skill in compromise. He's really able to reach across the aisle, so to speak, and reach out to people and get along with all different kinds of people. He doesn't allow dogma to get in the way, because he's really people-focused. And just a really nice guy, really genuine guy. And I think he has a lot of potential, and I do want to spend more time with him, and like the other guy, I'd want to live with him. I want to collaborate with him, and I believe that in the future he's going to have more time and opportunity to do that, and I want to sit down with him and work with him and create that working relationship and that collaboration. I think he could be a great resource and very valuable to me, my project, to other people, and I want to give back to him and help him develop his own projects, and let him know that his skills are valuable. He's valuable as a person, and I want to see him grow, and I want to see him take confidence, because I think he deserves to have confidence in the great work that he does. The next guy I want to talk about on this trip, I don't know if he'll see this video, but he is a masculine man, but he is not masculine in this anxious, confrontational, aggressive sense. He is masculine in the best kind of assertive sense. And he learned that masculinity. A lot of people blame and they complain. They say, oh, well, my dad didn't show me. And look, that's a legitimate problem. But he doesn't complain. He does not do that. And maybe it's a credit to his father, or it's just a credit to him that he's been able to develop that a very traditional masculinity, which I think 99% of people have lost, and they've fallen into like this anxious masculinity, this always trying to prove yourself, always trying to get in a fight or whatever. But his masculinity, it's refined. It's like a fine wine. It's very developed. It's very mature. He's wise beyond his years. He's given me a lot of great advice and perspective. And he's not one for nonsense. He just cuts through the nonsense. He's very giving. He is very, he's just, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of another word for giving, but that's it. He's just a giving guy. He's generous. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's always a good time to meet him. And anytime I introduce him to someone, they're always impressed by him. They always say, that is such a cool guy. I didn't know a person like that even existed. I never would have found him. He's full of wisdom. He is kind of a father figure. He has that paternalism in a good way. He's got that patriarchal element to him. So I think I found a lot of value in meeting with him. You know what? I don't just consider him a friend, but I also see that a kind of a mentorship that he just has a very unique perspective to offer, and it kind of counterbalances a lot of my more, feminine tendencies. I think that's a great thing that he introduces, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity he's given to meet him. I really value that. The next person I want to talk about on this journey, generous guy. I don't think he watches my YouTube videos. I came about him indirectly, so I don't think he'll ever see this, but that's fine. I just want to say he's a generous guy. He's a God-driven guy. He's very dedicated. He's a beautiful family, and he's just he's a fantastic person, and I want to help him help people, and he has a lot to offer. He's really built something amazing over the years, just being really dedicated, and I hope that in the future I can help, bring young people to him and have him train them and have him build them up, because he's got a fantastic thing. I'm about to drive over some roadkill. That's disgusting. All right, forget that. Anyway, great guy, beautiful inside and out, and he's one of these hidden gems. You never find him unless you were led to him, and I'm really grateful for him, and I'm grateful for the person who led me to him. So the next person I want to talk about this journey, he's a family man. He is such a great guy, and he has a very quiet masculinity, much like the other guy I was talking about. He's a Chad. He's a really cool guy. He can do anything with his hands. He's an outdoorsman, and he's raising his kids in the way that I wish I could raise mine. Beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful family, and he's really genuine. He's really searching for the truth. He's really searching for how should I raise my children and what is best for them. And he's very thoughtful about that. He's not just, oh, well, this is the way my dad did it, or this is the way I think, or I'll just let them do whatever they want. No, everything he does is intentional. It's all intentional. It's very thoughtful and very generous. He's a guy I would live with. I would love to live with him. And I think he's so giving, he's so thoughtful, and he's a great listener. He doesn't have any arrogance. He's a great guy, and I just want to build him up, build him in his confidence, and show him what a value he provides, and connect him with other people. And he has all these hidden skills and talents. It's like, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, it's nothing. It's like, no, he has such humility, and really want to encourage him and help him. The next guy I want to talk about, he is, well, people think I have a great skill with being verbal and doing hour-long videos, but this guy is just he is really a storyteller. He can really put together a narrative, and he has a great strength in that. He has a great value in that. I want to see him develop that. I want to see him refine that. He has really taken time to evaluate the tragedies in his life and really try to overcome those and not ignore them and not distract himself from them, but he's really tried to work on himself and discover different perspectives and and turn things over in his mind. And he was just, you know what, he's one of the most brutally honest people I've ever met. I met him and he sat me down. He's like, I'm gonna just tell you the story of my life. Like, that was the first, not technically the first, but as soon as we sat down in his house, he's like, I'm gonna tell you the story of my life. And I was like, wow, that is bold and that is brave, and I can see that you're someone who's really working on yourself and really wants to get help, and really, you know, you just don't have that shame and guilt. You're not allowing that to weigh you down. You're just transparent, and you're like, you know, I want to put everything out there and see what you think, and is there any way that you could help? That's something I struggle with, is sometimes it's hard to ask for help. Sometimes you don't want to help. Sometimes you reject help. But he's not afraid of that. He doesn't have that egoic attachment, and he's willing to just, you know, put it all out there. And so I think that's very valuable, and I look forward to him continuing his journey and evolving and working on his finances. And I think he's a great guy. I think he's got really good intentions, and I just want him to continue in that direction of putting aside the distractions and putting aside, you know, the crutches, and really getting on his own 2 feet and getting out in the world, because he's a very smart guy and he has a lot to offer. The next guy I want to talk about, such a creative guy, and very few people understand him. Very few people recognize his value and see how creative he is. But he is one of the most creative people I've ever met. And he's so full of life, he's so full of energy, and he's full of wisdom. He has a lot to teach, he has a lot to offer. He's a friend, he's a mentor, and he just doesn't let life keep him down. He's suffered through a lot of crazy stuff, but he still keeps trucking, and he does not give up. And he's like, he has been one of those people where he's told me that I provided value to his life. I haven't even met this person, technically speaking. He's just someone, I haven't met him in real life, but I feel like I know him better than other people I've met in real life. And he's so multifaceted that it's hard to kind of pin him down and say, like, no, you are this person, like, this is who you are, I'm gonna put this label on you. He defies labels, okay? And he has so many interesting aspects to him that inspire me, and I hope to be able to work with him in the future and to continue to inspire him, because I derive inspiration from him. And I'm always looking forward to his messages. He has such a great sense of humor. He's so positive, but he's also realistic. He's able to deal with the dark side of life, but he's able to laugh at it. I think that's beautiful. The next person I want to talk about, he is such a thoughtful person, such a good-hearted person, so genuine, one of the most honest people I've ever met, not just in terms of the words he says, but just like you meet him and you can trust him. You know, he's got that, well, you just look at his face and he's a trustworthy guy. And he is an organized guy, and he's a disciplined guy. And that is something I value. I value people who clean their room. That's not a skill that everyone has. You should see my room sometimes. You should see the back of my car sometimes. It's a mess. This guy is organized, he's clean, and I think there's something beautiful about that. And he is one of these people who's taken me seriously. He takes what I say seriously, and I appreciate that. And he's become Yellowstone National Park. Okay, I'm not even near there, but all right. Anyway, maybe I am near there. Maybe I should check that out after I'm finished with this video. But listen, he is such a genuine guy. He's so smart. He's so intelligent, and I know that he can do really great things. And I'm excited for his future. I'm excited for him to like release the chains of anxiety and forget how people judge him and just do what he thinks is right and experiment. He's a young guy. I want him to experiment with his talents and his skills and put himself out there, because even though he's so thoughtful and he's so smart, he's still really dedicated to helping other people and building a community. And to me, I really want him to be involved in anything that I do in the future, and I just want to encourage him because he's one of these guys that inspires me. The next person I want to talk about, he is such a direct person. A lot of the people I talk about, they're meandering, they're kind of wandering in the path, they don't really know what they're doing, and that's fine. I meander, I'm homeless, I don't know what I'm doing. But this guy is so direct, he's laser focused, he's sharp, and we need a guy like that. We need that type of masculinity. He's a family man, he's really goal-oriented, he's purpose-driven, and he wants to develop a community. And I think he provides a great balance, and he's just straight to the point, no bones about it, no nonsense, and he's an excellent guy. And encourages me to be more disciplined in my life. The next person I want to talk about on this trip, on this journey, well, I'm going to skip over some people who I know I met sort of incidentally, but I know they aren't going to watch the channel. They're not interested in the channel, but they're great people. They know who they are. I want to skip all the way to the next person who is a really cool guy. He is a businessman. He's a networker. He is someone he's just easy to get along with. And he showed me a great time, very generous, just a cool swap. He's got a coolness to him. He's a kind of a cool cat, and it's hard to capture that. It's hard to learn that. He was born that way. He was just born being a cool guy, and I appreciate my time with him, and I'd love to see him again. The next person on the journey that I'd like to talk about, new person, never met this person before. I would say it would have to be, well, to be continued. How about to be continued? It's an hour video. I'm going to stop it there, and I'll tell you more stories in the next clip. Maybe we'll either do a part 2 or we'll splice it together. Okay.